You good? Yeah, you got a drink in that.
I'm fine. Don't worry.
You don't.
Yeah,
You don't.
I don't need hydration. Thank you.
No, we don't, do we? We don't. Welcome to the Fifth Cheese with my guest today, David Luck, comedian, some would say, all things debatable. So we kick off, as always, with our first question, and that is, why?
Something I wonder to myself on a daily basis, almost. I suppose when you think about it, I suppose it all sort of just comes down to because.
Yeah.
You know?
Albert Einstein once said, any fool can know, the point is to understand. Do you agree with that, David Luck?
Yeah. I think there's a certain degree, definitely a degree of truth in that. Yeah, it's all very well being able to recite information, but being able to understand or process particular concepts is on a different level. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. What's something that you understand?
Perhaps. Blimey. How to beat certain video game bosses, for example, because that's what you do when you're a virgin at 26. So
I think if the apocalypse were to happen and we had to kickstart society back, I think that's a vital skill set that a lot of people overlook.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You never know. You never know what kind of situation might unfold. So people look stupid if they haven't prepared by fighting, playing Dark Souls or Kingdom Hearts or whatever. So
You hang in there, keep that dream alive.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Einstein's last words were, tell me what you think of this. They were spoken in German to a nurse who didn't speak German.
Oh
So
right.
they're lost
Okay.
forever.
Oh dear. Oh okay.
Does that make you sad?
In a way, yeah. I mean, when you have a person as famous and as fantastic and what they do and as interesting as he was, it is sad, of course, that that's lost. But then at the same time, there is a possibility that those last words were something on the line of "Help! I'm dying! I'm dying!"
Yeah, and that's not profound, is it?
It doesn't provoke. It doesn't provoke much in the way of intellectual gathering, really. So yeah.
Yeah, so, no worries,
Yeah, it's a
is
shame.
what
It is a
David Luck
shame.
says about that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
but it would have been.
you've said that, but you've also said that it doesn't matter. Elizabeth
Yeah,
I
you got me
owned 3,000 dresses. Yeah. Elizabeth the Thirst. Elizabeth, she was very thirsty. I'm
Oh yes,
dehydrated. That's what it is.
yeah. There hasn't been 3 Elizabeths, no. So
No. Okay, here we go. Elizabeth the what are you doing there with the points?
sorry, I was just sort of cueing you. Sorry, yeah. Carry on. Sorry. You were sort of psyching yourself up, and I was sort of like, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
you were.
Power to you,
Well, you were. Yeah,
Vodafone.
that's guns, isn't it?
Right. Okay.
And
Oh,
then.
I didn't mean to shoot you. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just in the current climate. It's just not.
Yeah. Sorry.
Right to do that. Okay. Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Thank you. Elizabeth I owned 3,000 dresses and the world's first wire coat hanger. Do you think you could live without a coat hanger?
Could I live without a coat hanger?
That's the question.
Yeah. Well, how long's a piece of string?
4 foot.
Find a ruler.
One over there is 4 foot.
Yeah.
I've measured it.
I mean,
so it's 4
well,
foot.
I suppose if you think about it, the main purpose of coat hangers is kind of to hang clothes up, and if you don't do that, they crease up a bit more. But then if you like ironing, then win-win really. And not that I do like ironing, but
You can get a steamer. Is it not coats that we put on coat hangers? That should be really.
That is a very good point. Yeah. Well, some people do hang. Some people who are particularly weird hang coats in cupboards, don't they? Sort of, rather than on like a coat, rather than on like a peg next to the door or something.
Right, but it's on.
That is a good point though. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Although people do call them clothes hangers as well, so there is that as well. But
Americans call them that,
oh well, forget I said it then. Yeah,
not
sorry.
people.
Yeah.
The last English woman, and I'm just throwing this out there, the last English woman tried for witchcraft was convicted in 1944.
Okay.
Does that scare you a little bit?
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. I mean, well, there's a lot in human history that's scary. I mean, you could also mention the fact that slavery, so the act of one human owning another, was only outlawed in Britain in 2010, for example. So, you know, it's not a great record in many ways, but yeah.
2010.
Yeah.
In what way?
That's what QI said, so it must be right. So
yeah, no, that is right. So I did see a slave in 2009 in the Wolfram Centre in Wolverhampton. So yeah,
okay,
that is a true fact.
I was just sorry, just very quickly. I was just thinking as well. One of the QI fact books, it says in hundreds of years ago, like 15th century or something, really long ago, like that. In England, I think it said a cow was found guilty of witchcraft and hanged. So yeah, that happened.
Do you worry though, because you're playing some of the games you play have like mana and spells and stuff, so you're potentially, it's potentially going to come back at you, isn't it? If do you know what
Yeah, I mean, sometimes video games aren't too far fetched from the reality of the world that we live in. Like this. Well, yeah, there is that, but this is genuinely true. Actually, during the lockdown a few earlier this year, I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and one of the world. Very good game. And one of the worlds that you visit is that of Disney's Tangled, which is called Kingdom of Corona.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
You can't make it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can, can't you? You can as well, can't you? Can as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are shows and films and stuff that are really like imaginative, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I once told someone I was good at improvised comedy, but I made that up. So
the facial expressions on Lego figures have become increasingly angry over the last 30 years.
Right.
Is that something you've noticed or you relate to?
I have heard of it being talked about. I think on Mock the Week they did discuss this a couple of years ago, actually. I mean, it's been. I have got Lego in the loft somewhere. It's been a long time since I used Lego for its intended purpose. Say no more. Anyway, it's. I've heard of.
But
Concerns.
My nose, all right.
It looks like it's still attached. So
okay, carry on.
Is it functional as a breathing implement still?
So what were you saying?
Right. I was talking about Lego.
Can you start again? I wasn't really.
No, it's all right. No worries. If you're worried about your nose, that's not a problem.
Well, it might be a problem. That's why I was worried about it. Do you know what I mean?
That is a very good point. Is
that a signal? Are you coding someone off screen?
No, just making sure mine's okay. So I don't know how contagious it might be. So
yeah, it might be like it might be a broadband thing.
Imagine that a health condition so contagious that you could catch it via a virtual video chat. Imagine that.
That's the plot of the Connect. Well, that's a similar plot to the Canadian zombie film. What was it called? Have you seen it? you know what I'm talking
I
about?
don't watch movies. I don't watch movies at all really nowadays. But yeah, I can't say it sounds familiar really. But
What's it then? I don't know. Canadian.
imagine if you did have a movie that was based around a condition that spread via video chats, and then at the end of the movie, when the screen went black, it just said the video chat has ended.
Oh, creepy. I found that film.
Oh yes.
It's called Pontypool
Oh
from
right. Okay.
2008.
Oh
Yeah, it's this DJ who is reporting from his the basement radio station, and yeah, he hears reports of this virus and that turns people into zombies, and yeah, I won't spoil it, but I think I have spoiled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lego people becoming angrier. Well, is it? If that is the case, is it a reflection of the reality of the world around us? Is that what it is?
I think it's worse than that. I think Lego may become sentient and attack. Did you know there are now, I think as of like 2019, there are more Lego figures on Earth than people?
Oh, I think I might have heard something about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did hear on QI once. They did say that the company that manufactures or sells or whatever the most tires every year is Lego. Maybe they're slowly taking over. Well, if you thinking about sentience and emotions, like Lego is obviously decades and decades old now. So has the world become an increasingly sad and depressing place, or a place worthy of being angry over those decades since its invention?
Well, I mean, I'm sad right now. So doing this.
This is.
So
I'm really happy actually. So yeah.
You're really happy?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. How do I know that?
Well, I've just told you.
Yeah. Shoes with 5 eyelets on each side can be laced up 51,840 different ways. Do people have too much choice today?
Well, I suppose. Well, when you say that, maybe it says something. Whether when you see that, depending on whether your first reaction is, do people investigate, or do people have too much time on their hands, rather than what you said? But yeah, it's kind of.
Let's go with mine now. Let's go with mine.
Okay, yeah. Well, apparently as well, I've read supposedly there's something like over 170,000 or something ways to tie a tie, supposedly.
Well, that actually came up in the last podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, you kind of wonder, first, like, how much time do people have? And also, as well as how is that physically possible? But, yeah.
I think they're probably just sort of, do that.
Yeah. Maybe one guy was just doing the whole thing and he managed to do 179,846 different ways, and then he thought, yeah, I'm out of ideas, mate, sorry.
Yeah, that's the worry. You push yourself to become the best at something.
Could it have been forced labor? Could it be like one guy? Could it have been one guy saying, right, this is my mission, I'm going to find out the exact number? Or was it a guy was locked in the room and locked in a room somewhere and told, right, you do this before you're allowed out? So
Right.
It was all tied up either way. So yeah.
So yeah, but with choice, do you feel overwhelmed in Krispy Kreme? In Starbucks, in Costa, are you overwhelmed? Are you overwhelmed with choice? Are you? Would you just want just a coffee? Just a donut?
Well, I don't drink coffee or eat donuts, so that solves that I find that solves a lot of the problems. Although I've not been to a Costa for a long time. Actually, I do like Costa, but
So what do
rather
I?
than being,
You like Costa, but you don't drink coffee.
they do nice toasties, so
Yeah, fair point.
there is that, and nice fruit bottled drinks as well. And oh yeah, nice sweet things as well. But I suppose, well, it's kind of, some people feel overwhelmed with choice sometimes, and so they find it difficult to make a decision. But then there are other people, perhaps I'm more in this category, who just sort of stick with, right, yeah, this is my usual, I'll just stick with this, So
Yeah.
I think I fall into that category more than the other.
Well, Americans actually eat 10 billion donuts every year.
Yeah, well, well, is that the best they could do, or is that without trying? Like,
Well, I would say it's without trying, because oftentimes my experience of a donut is a willing participation in that transaction. Do you know what I mean? You've got a joke about Americans, haven't you?
Oh yes. Every week, medical mistakes kill enough Americans to fill 4 747s. 12 Americans. The first bit of that is genuinely true, though. So
that's worrying. I think I could do that. Let me have a go. Okay. Americans eat 10 billion donuts every year. Oh, sorry. 3 Americans eat 10 billion donuts every year. That's like what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I remember Lee Mack said once, he was talking to an American friend of his, and he said something like, why don't you just get rid of all the guns in America? Just get rid of all of them. And they said, no, Lee, guns don't kill people. People kill people. And then Lee Mack said, and I thought, that's actually not a bad idea, is it? Why don't we just get rid of all Americans?
Here is a conundrum for you, David Luck. You're on a desert island for a year. That's 12 months, 52 weeks. You get to have one album. Which is it?
Now you're asking me. Oh wow. Crikey.
12 months for this.
Yeah. Right. So not indefinitely. So just for a year, like.
Just for a year, and you can't. Okay. There's an extra stipulation. Okay. You can't skip. You can't skip songs, and you have to listen to it chronologically, like track 1, track 2, track 3.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. Does it include compilation albums or not?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no to the compilation.
Right, yeah, never mind. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay.
It's too complicated. It's too.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. That is really tough. That is really tough. Yeah, I'll just pick a really good album then, or one that I think is really good. So there's a really underrated and lesser known band called Priestess, who are a Canadian sort of rock band. They're in Guitar Hero 3. They have a song called "Lay Down" in that game. They've only done 2 albums. I've got both of them. The first is called "Hello Master," which that track is from. And basically,
that Hello Master.
Well, I just gaze at the cover. I just gaze at the cover and think, yes, I'm amazing. Well, basically anyone who's a fan of heavy rock or metal sort of music should definitely give that album a listen. It's like brilliant all the way through. Basically, there aren't any bad tracks on it. Basically, and it's hugely underappreciated. So say that then. Yeah.
For it, okay. And you're happy to listen to that for a whole year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people say that when they like a song and listen to it so many times, eventually they get sick of it. I'm not sure I fall into that category, really. really. So
No. I mean, I haven't given you a CD player, so
well, you did say about listening to it. So
yeah, just
oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
you can just.
Well, maybe if I found, not obviously not like a vinyl record needle, but maybe like, if it's a desert island, maybe the hair of a coconut, and I could do a similar,
Yeah, it's a CD though.
yeah. Hey,
So
stranger things have happened.
like what?
The universe came into existence.
I think most people are used to that now.
Well, it's still not completely understood by even like the most leading people in the area of expertise. So
Does that make it strange? Do you think?
well, it makes it mysterious to some degree, I'd say, certainly.
Okay.
But
Is that a
I
different
mean,
word?
obviously,
Would you say?
say again, sorry.
Would you say strange is perhaps a different word than mysterious?
Well, I suppose strictly speaking, yeah, they can be different to each other. Although I'd also say that there is some degree of crossover with their meanings as well. But then they're not exactly they're not synonymous. So
Right, but
necessarily.
when someone says, "Oh, I'd love to meet a mysterious man," say, are they going to say, "I'd love to meet a strange man"? Okay. So we end, as always, with the final question, and that is,
Yes.
it is the final question, and that is, what was the fifth cheese of my pizza? I had a 5-cheese pizza. I can only remember 4 of the cheeses. I cannot remember the fifth cheese. What was the fifth cheese, and why?
Well, trying to think about the most common cheese related incidents or incidents of cheese that I can think of off the top of my head, I would suggest maybe the image that occurs a millisecond before a photograph is taken. Maybe if you could convey that into a physical edible medium somehow, perhaps. This is a hard question, in fairness.
It is. I mean, most people say like cheddar, feta, mozzarella.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether cheddar or mozzarella are kind of really common ones. I don't know whether they might be in the first 4 potentially. But
yeah, cheddar's one of the 4.
I mean, it's not like there's like more than like 7 cheeses, is it? Like.
Do you mean you only know 7 cheeses? Is that what you mean?
I'm not a huge cheese eater, to be honest.
No.
Pretty much. I only really like cheese when it's melted, pretty much. Something to do with texture is a bit weird,
How many textures of cheese do you think there are?
If there's 7 cheeses, then maybe 5 or 6, perhaps.
Yeah. So your final answer is?
Yeah. Well, thinking about it more sort of literally rather than laterally, perhaps. Maybe. What about? There's one called a stinking bishop, isn't there? So maybe that if you're not a very good chess player, maybe that's a good one to go for. So
I'm a pretty good chess player.
Oh well, in that case, I'll retract that then, and instead let's say
appreciate
that. If you haven't used this already, Wensleydale, Wallace and Gromit really like it, so
Do you
that
like
could
that?
be good enough. That could be good enough. I don't think I've ever tried it actually, but
it's very nice on crackers. Lovely cracker cheese.
Makes sense. They thought so. So yeah.
Yeah. They're plasticine.
There's
Plasticine figures, aren't they? They're not real people.
What, they're not real people?
No, they are plasticine people. So what are you saying?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, go with Stinking Bishop. It's a bit sort of
Okay,
bit
you're right.
more,
Well, you're wrong.
bit,
You're
bit, bit
wrong.
more sort of abstract and a bit less sort of talked about. So yeah, something a bit different. Yeah, maybe do that.
It's noted down, but it's
Yeah.
wrong, I'm afraid. But thank you
Oh,
for
okay.
taking part. Thank you, David Luck, for joining us on
Yeah.
the Fifth Cheese.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah, yeah. Can I just
Us?
clarify? Sorry,
Us? What do you mean
is that?
us?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. It's that grammatically incorrect usage of the word us, as in me. So that one. Which part of England started that? I don't know. Somewhere, maybe Manchester or something. Anyway.
Shots fired. What was your question?
No, I was going to say. Are you sure about what you were saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I just didn't realise.
What do you
Kind
mean?
of a
About what?
well, it's kind of like well, those sort of moments of sort of epiphany, I suppose, where you're kind of sort of struck with this realization, like
There are more than 7 cheeses in the world.
Well, yeah. Well, that was less of an epiphany than the thing you said about W and G. Kind of like
oh yeah.
kind of like it's just kind of a sort of sudden moment of great realization. Like was it Archimedes in the bath? Was it when he shouted "Eureka"? Or guests on Jeremy Kyle after a DNA test or something.
For you, that was the moment. Wallace and Gromit are plasticine people. And that was your.
Just sometimes where you sort of become engrossed by something, and so you kind of don't really think about it in great detail, sort of.
Yeah. Just like they were very like squishy, weren't they? Very squishy.
Suppose, yeah, more so than the average man and his dog, I suppose. So yeah. How would you measure squishiness though? Like,
I think per cubic centimeter.
squishiness per cubic centimeter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I suppose you'd have to maybe create a system where you had a sort of standard force of some sort applied to a substance, and then how much change in shape or measurement occurs upon the implication of that standardized force. So
you actually measure you measure squishiness according to this with a gauge that presses a rounded surface into the rubber under test. The pin is spring loaded, and as the rubber presses the pin back towards the gauge, an indicator gives a readout.
fair enough. That's interesting.
Shore durometer.
Okay. There's probably a formula for calculating more things than you realise, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like I remember on QI once they mentioned some guy somehow developed a formula for calculating the beauty of a person's arse. So that's been done.